myself. I am Tabitha Washington, owner of the Travel Crew, where we create phenomenal travel experiences so that you can see more of the world and broaden your horizons, even if you've never traveled before. I'm so happy that we have our guest here, Miss Iesha. Once again, I'm just going to give people some time to just check on in. But Iesha, how you doing?
I am good. Thanks for having me again. I'm so happy to be here and talk about travel insurance. I know we had some technical difficulties the last time, but and a lot of people said they couldn't hear all the good teas that I was given. So I am so glad to be here today. And, for those joining on Facebook, so we can address you formally, hit that StreamYard link that Tabitha has on that post so you guys can be acknowledged respectfully for sure. But
All right. Um, and as Iesha said, yeah, I do see a few of you are telling me hello, and that's so awesome, but I don't know who you are. So there is a link for StreamYard if you're in the Facebook group that you can go ahead and register. And that lets me know that I can actually see who I'm speaking with. But hello to everyone that is telling me hi. I appreciate it. And as Iesha mentioned last session, so we had Iesha as a guest before a few months back, and she was awesome. I got so many replies, even for the people that missed it. They were like, when are you going to have it back? Or is there a replay? And we did have some technical difficulties. And so that's why there wasn't a replay available. And but I knew I had to get her back because everybody wanted to know. But Iesha, I don't even think you knew. The people that were there, they went out and purchased insurance. In fact, one of I was just in Puerto Rico, and one of the clients there said she purchased the annual plan because she listened to you.
that is so good to hear. At least the knowledge that I'm given is not going unheard, right? And I'm glad that I was able to impact your travel crew to where they were more aware and cautious of the benefit of having it and the liabilities they face not having it. So that's good. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. And she said like as soon as you were finished, she had to get out and go get the policy. And I think she did her whole house, which is awesome. So everybody, again, if you just tuning in, my name is Tabitha Washington, owner of the Travel Crew, and this is Travel Talk Live, and we are live tonight with Iesha Brewton, the Insurance Concierge. I see you guys telling me hello, and I appreciate that. Go ahead and just drop a hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and just put hashtag replay. And you can still put your comments and questions. I can always forward the questions to Iesha. So before we get started, just to let you know, as we mentioned before, if you are tuning in, you need to, so that we can see who's commenting. If you register with StreamYard, you'll see the link there. That way we can see your name. And it helps, especially if you have a question. But if not, that's fine. I'll still read your question. As Iesha presents and stuff, if questions come up, please drop them in the comment section so that we can make sure when we get to the Q&A portion of this that we will that I can read out your question. So I am just going to go ahead and I think we can go ahead and get started. So Iesha, at first everything was, halted because of COVID, the pandemic. And, we're still going through it. But it's been basically, next month will be 2 years. It's hard to believe that 2 years even went by that fast. But it's been 2 years, and I know people are like anxious to travel. I have gotten to that point. I didn't think I would get to that point, but I got to that point that I'm anxious to travel. But travel ain't the same no more. We had to adjust, just like we had to adjust our lives, we got to adjust our travel. And I know as travel professionals, we've always pushed travel insurance, but travel insurance has got to be like as much of a top priority as much as getting that perfect flight now. So I mean, tell us, why is it now traveling? I mean, it's always been important, but why is it's just escalated in the priority now?
So it's, and I'm going to use the famous line that Fat Joe said, yesterday's price is not today's price, right? And so the cost of travel has increased drastically, and you want to protect your investment. It's not like going to Walmart and buying groceries. We're talking thousands of dollars. And you want to be able to protect that investment because you never know what can happen in the course of travel. You want to make sure everything from your flight cancellation, if that, or your flight delay, to your lost luggage, to even you not being able to travel because of whatever reason, you want those things covered to be sure that your investment is given back to you. So, or if you don't have insurance, which you should not be without it, treat it like MasterCard. You want to at least be able to have options out there, whether you do a trip protection policy, because those may seem cheaper. You want to be able just to protect your investment, whether you get a cash refund or a travel credit, whatever the case may be. You just want to protect that investment to know that your dollars are being covered in a sense. It's just like car insurance or home insurance or life insurance, right? You want to protect your life. And a lot of times, a lot of people just think, oh, well, I'll just put it under my credit card. I'll do this, I'll do that. And a lot of things are very limited. So we'll dive into that today to know the benefits of why you should purchase a travel insurance policy and which way to go in that respect.
And I think that's so good what you said about it being an investment. I don't think people always realize that travel is an investment. That's what I think. I mean, it's an investment on an aspect of your life, and you putting in this money to you're not just taking a break. I mean, like, you're going to explore. You about to really live your life and stuff. And if travel should be an important thing that you want to protect, and things are just so unexpected, right now, that I love that you said that. Protect your investment. Truly, that's what we need to do. So, Miss Iesha, before we continue on, let me just tune in again. Everyone, if you're just joining in, my name is Tabitha Washington, owner of the Travel Crew, and I'm here today with the Insurance Concierge, Miss Iesha Brewton, who's back with us for a special Tuesday edition of Travel Talk Live. Please let your travel buddies know that we're on Tuesday right now. Is there? She's about to drop all the tea, all the knowledge, and you need to get here and hear it all. So we're on the Facebook business page, in the Facebook group, and we're now on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. So Iesha, go ahead and kick it off. What are the basics? What are the fundamentals that you want everybody to know?
So to start off, I just want to talk about the different types of travel insurance that you can purchase when booking your trip. You want to be sure that, for my recommendation, you want to be sure you're using a third party travel insurance company. You want to use a company like Allianz, Travel Guard, also known as AIG, Berkshire Hathaway, whomever, John Hancock, whomever you use in a sense of a third party travel insurance company, you want to use them because their coverages are much broader and enhanced than what you would get purchasing from the supplier. So, for example, and I know a lot of people may or may not be doing that these days, but if you're booking a cruise, a lot of the cruise lines offer a package through a travel protection package through their site. Whether you're booking direct or through a travel agent, it's always offered. Do you want to add cruise protection? But that cruise protection is only covering you for the aspects of that cruise. It's not covering your luggage. It's not covering a delay of you missed your flight, or not even missed your flight. The flight was delayed. They had to push it back and you can't get to the port in time. Like, those things are not covered when you're purchasing the supplier's protection policy. Even if you're booking something on an online booking site, which I don't recommend. I fully recommend for you to use a travel agent, use the travel use this travel crew concierge here, Miss Tabitha. She will get you straight from beginning to end. And, getting a quote from her or having her refer you to that third party is just a benefit because you want to make sure everything is covered. So like I said, like for the example of the cruise, it's just covering the cruise. Whereas if you add excursions and you're trying to do other things, those things are not covered unless the excursion is booked through the cruise company that you're using. If you're doing one of their excursions, then it's covered. But if you're doing something outside of that, where you're going on maybe Viator to purchase your excursion, it's not covered. So you want to be able to get a third party's policy so you can wrap everything into that policy: your air, your cruise, your excursions, and you know anything else that you're adding money into that would be covered. Now, dinner reservations are not covered. Okay. So we're not going to say, well, I want to put a claim in because I got to the restaurant at the resort and then they were overbooked, but they told me I had a reservation. No, that's not covered. But the most important pieces of your trip, like the air, the resort or the cruise, and your luggage, and the excursions, those will be covered should something happen. So again, it's very limited if you're going through the supplier. Whereas if you're going through the third party companies, any of the ones that I mentioned, or any of the ones that you see when you go to purchase your own policy, it will cover everything, including emergency medical. And that is the most important piece of a travel insurance policy, in my opinion. So we'll definitely talk on that. But that is some of the benefits as to, and the key differences of the different type of policies. You want to be able to make sure that you are covered from the time you leave your house to the time you return back to your front door. And that's the key thing. And a lot of those supplier-based travel protection policies are not doing that. It's very limited. And on top of that, it's much more expensive. And I think it's price gouging, but who am I? But it's much more expensive than what you would get through Allianz and AIG and so forth.
That's a real good point. You know, I do have people, like you said, with that cruise insurance, they just want to jump on, oh, what's the cruise insurance and stuff, but they're not taking in to consideration the flight and all of that thing, all of those things and stuff. So that's I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop in the comments. I do have some links to some travel insurance. I know Iesha mentioned Travel Guard, and so here are some links to Travel Guard and Travel X. If anybody needs to check those out, we can drop it in the group, because I'll drop it in a group later so as to not hold up anything. But that's so good what you mentioned, Iesha. I'll let you continue, but I don't know if you want to get into emergency medical. You were saying that's one of the most important aspects you feel of a good insurance policy.
Yeah, because again, you never know what can happen. You never know what can happen in the event of being on that trip. You may go through an excursion and you may sprain your ankle or break your ankle for that matter. And what people fail to realize, the first thing they say is, oh, I got health insurance. Okay, that's good. But if you're in an international country, that health insurance means nothing. It means nothing, because the territories of your health insurance is US, Canada, and US territories. So anything outside of those three demographics that I just mentioned, you're not covered under your health insurance. So what you want to do is make sure your policy includes emergency medical and it's a substantial amount. I say don't go less than 250,000. Why? Because you never know what can happen. The countries are very different. They may want to charge you an arm and a leg to fix your broken ankle. You may have to go through surgery. You can't be like, oh, no, 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 don't work on me. But you're just making your matter worse by refusing the health care that they're providing. And, you may be in a place like Dubai where you can't get to a US based hospital right away. Whereas if you're somewhere like the Bahamas, okay, maybe within a few hours you can get helicopter to a local hospital in Miami, but that's different. So if you're in places like in somewhere in Africa or Dubai or China, anywhere in Asia, those places are going to take a long time for you to get back to U.S. ground. So it's best that you have at least 250,000 in emergency medical, and you must make sure it is primary. It will tell you when you go to purchase your policy, because as a travel agent, as a travel professional, Tabitha can't give you, the year, go get that policy. She can't do that. She can offer it to you because it's in her responsibility as a travel professional to offer travel insurance. But I use the common statement, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, you know? So you have to be responsible enough to and be patient enough to read through what you're about to purchase. And if there's something that you don't understand, you reach out to that travel insurance supplier and get on the phone and ask some questions. But always make sure emergency medical is primary, because these countries want their money yesterday. They're not waiting. They don't have Cash App. They're not doing none of that. They want their money right then, right now. But if you have travel insurance and it's primary, they will be comfortable in waiting for that travel insurance company to send them their money, because they're going to send them their money right away. So always make sure that that piece is primary and not secondary.
That's real good to know. Y'all keep seeing me look down. That's because I'm writing. I'm writing notes. Okay. I own a travel company. I'm still here writing all the notes. Okay. So I've told you, Iesha, she got all the nuggets. She's just dropping nuggets. This is what she does. If you just tuning in, I am Tabitha Washington, owner of the Travel Crew, and we're here for Travel Talk Live with Iesha Brewton, the Insurance Concierge, and she has just started dropping all these nuggets about the importance um, of having a travel insurance policy to protect your investment. That's the thing. Travel is an investment, y'all. Y'all got to remember that. It's an investment. Y'all dropping these big dollars for these fabulous trips and stuff. And the world is just so uncertain right now. You need to protect your investment. So, you mind if I ask you some questions, Iesha?
Fire away. Fire away.
Okay. So one thing that has come up, and it came up a lot starting 2020 when the pandemic hit, is a lot of people thought they did have the right insurance. They and then they were very disappointed when you had no choice. You had to cancel your trips and stuff. But not everybody was getting refunds. Some vendors didn't want to give money back. They wanted to give your credit back, or something like that. And so then everybody starts saying, well, what do I need to do to make sure that I got, I can't let this happen to me again. So then the topic of cancel for any reason coverage popped up. And that was the thing everybody was talking about. So can you explain what cancel for any reason coverage is?
Yes, I can. And just to back up just a little bit, because, there may be somebody on here that probably is like, well, I got money back at the start of the pandemic. So let me just be clear in that regard. When everything first hit the fan, it was considered an unforeseen situation. Nobody was expecting this. Once it got declared a pandemic, that's when the travel insurance companies was like, pump the brakes. We're not, it's now a foreseen situation. So we are not going to be paying on claims related to COVID. Um, so those who were lucky enough to get paid back their monies, kudos to you. Because there are a lot of people who did not. Now, cancel for any reason can mean a number of things. I look at it like it's covered unless it's specifically excluded. Okay. And with cancel for any reason, there are exclusions. It's different from knowing there's a pandemic and then you're getting ready to travel and you test positive for COVID, right? That's, testing positive is unforeseen in my opinion. And I've went back and forth with different travel insurance companies. It's considered unforeseen. So cancel for any reason can mean anything, whether you get sick and now you can't go, you have to have emergency surgery or something. You just found out maybe you've been diagnosed with cancer and now you can't go on your trip. Like, it can be for any reason, under the scope of the terms and conditions of the policy. Now, there's a caveat to that. Cancel for any reason, the cost of you being covered for any reason comes with you only getting back 50 to 75% of your money back. So yes, they're saying, yeah, I'm gonna cover you for any reason, but just know you're not getting 100% of your money back. So that is usually the range of percentage that most travel insurance companies pay. You want to go for the one that's paying 75% back, right? You want to at least get the majority of your money back and not half of your money back. But I say every little bit counts. And that's the only way you're going to get your money back if you cancel for any reason. Now, that piece of it only been in the market for 10 years. So they're constantly changing the terms and conditions of cancel for any reason. So just make sure that you are reading your policy. Don't just buy it to buy it. Buy it, read it, and if you don't understand it, get on the phone with whomever you purchased it from, not Tabitha, okay? The insurance company. The insurance company. Call the insurance company and get the info, because there are requirements that must be adhered to in order for them to cover your claim for any reason. Now, another thing, if you are reporting cancellation, and you have a cancel for any reason provision on your policy, you must call at least 48 to 72 hours before your trip. Don't wait 3 hours before you're supposed to be at the gate, because it's not going to be covered. You must call 48 to 72 hours before your trip for it to be canceled. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm sorry.
If you're tuning in, we're here with Iesha Brewton, the Insurance Concierge. She's just stepping away for a second. Go ahead and drop your comments, your questions. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section, and we will make sure that Miss Iesha addresses those. And she is back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm a mom too, guys, so appreciate the patience.
No problem.
But as I was saying, with cancel for any reason, you must cancel 48 to 72 hours before the trip. Don't wait last minute. Another good thing about purchasing a travel insurance policy is you can review it for a few days, because travel insurance policies are non-refundable. Once you purchase it, a lot of people are like, oh, well, once I purchase it, I can't get my money back for it. There's a little caveat to that too. Okay. Most companies have a discovery period or a review period that you can look at the policy for like 1 to 3 days. And if it doesn't seem to be a good fit for you and your travel needs, whether you're traveling by yourself or with your family, if it doesn't fit your travel needs, you can cancel it and get a refund. But again, it must be within that review period that's indicated in the policy, for you to get your money back for that travel insurance policy you purchased. Okay. And then, it's even with comparing. If you're looking at Travel Guard, but then you're looking at Allianz and you've purchased Allianz and you're like, but Travel Guard is better. Go within that period and then be like, okay, I don't want it. Don't wait till that fourth day or whatever that day after the period ends, because they're going to laugh at you and tell you it's a wrap. You're not getting your money back. This is the policy. And then you may be subject to just that policy. And I've seen some people go ahead and buy another policy because they didn't want coverage under that policy, under the one they originally purchased. So you do have a review period. Anything after that, you can't get a refund. You can't get a refund if you already started the trip either. So if you woke up one morning and you missed your flight and you're like, I know I'm not going to make it at all, maybe let me put a claim in. No, no, can't cancel the policy. It is what it is. So you can't, you can't assume that everything is covered with cancel for any reason. I know it's condescending in a sense, but read the policy for sure. Read the policy.
So, is there anything out there where somebody would get 100% of their money back?
Yes, if they don't have the cancel for any reason provision. If they don't, yes. So if they don't have the cancel for any reason provision, and they are canceling, I mean, they are putting in a claim for what's covered under that policy. Again, you have to read the policy to understand the terms and conditions of what's covered and what's not covered. Then you would be able to get your money back 100%. So cancel for any reason, it means just that, unless it's covered. It's like your homeowners, where you have special coverage where you're covered for everything except for what's specifically excluded, right? And the cost of that is, yes, it's more money, but you're not going to get much of your money back. Whereas if you don't have that provision, you have to abide by the terms and conditions of the policy in order for it to be considered canceled for any reason. Now, example, I had a client whose boyfriend didn't get their passport in time, and she put in a claim, and they were like, okay, well, why couldn't you get the passport in time? Well, because of the appointment, she couldn't get an appointment because of the COVID restrictions that the passport agency had. Claim wasn't covered. Why? Because the pandemic is a foreseen situation. You knew that you have to go by appointment only. So it was your responsibility to make the appointment sooner, so that way when the time came about, you can get your passport. So that's a perfect example. And she didn't have cancel for any reason. But most of those policies that don't have cancel for any reason have that pandemic exclusion.
Wow.
So read the policy. That pandemic, boy, she done came in and changed everything. So read the policy. I know a lot of people, I mean, I'm a book girl, so I'm reading all the time. And I'm always diving in for information. So
Yeah, Rona came in and showed us so.
yeah, Auntie Rona came through and was like, bop, bop. Yeah, I got a surprise for you. So yeah, 50 to 75% when you have
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I
No, you're
accidentally.
fine.
You
No,
said
you're
50
fine.
percent.
Yeah, 50 to 75% is returned to you if you put in a cancel for any reason claim, if you have that type of policy. If you don't have that type of policy, you would likely get your money back depending on the reason of why you're needing to turn in the claim, because not all things are covered under a standard policy that's not canceled for any reason.
Good info. Guys, if you have a question, just drop it in the comment section. I'll make sure to read it out so Iesha can answer it. Again, tuning in, Iesha Brewton, the Insurance Concierge, dropping all kind of nuggets. This is good information, y'all. Good information. Let's get to some of these questions. Oh, well, here's one of mine. And this is, I know the answer, but I want you to say it because maybe they'll listen to you. I have people that book the trips and you try to, you encourage them to get insurance and they'll say, well, I got it. I did it with my credit card. My credit card has it. I don't need insurance. Is the protection from a credit card good enough?
No, because because now it's a little caveat to that too. Now, if you've so when you are purchasing your trip, the components that you use that you use the credit card for to purchase the trip, that's the only thing that's covered. So if you've purchased the air, so if it's a travel package and you're putting every payment on that credit card, then yes. But if you're breaking stuff apart where you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna put the flight on my Amex, I'm gonna put the resort piece on my debit card, and then I'm gonna put the excursions on the Amex too. So your flight and the excursions are the only thing covered under that Amex insurance, travel insurance protection plan. So you got to keep that in mind. Whatever components you are using for that specific credit card, that's the only component that's going to be covered. So if you are using, a lot of people love their points, right? They love their points. So if you love your points, look at it this way. If you love your points, just pay for the entire trip on that one credit card. So that way, if you want to use the travel insurance through that credit card, that's the only way that trip is going to be covered, through that credit card company.
Now you mentioned something, you were talking about splitting up a package. What if you do a whole package, but like I myself, I offer payment plans. What if they've been paying with Amex, but just 1 month they picked up the Visa instead and made a payment? Does that affect the coverage Amex would have?
It possibly, yeah, it possibly could. So it's best to, because you got to remember, when you're purchasing a travel insurance plan, you have to put the amount of the trip. So if you're saying $5,000 is the cost of the trip package, the Amex American Express, they want to see $5,000 worth of trip payments on that statement, whether it's month to month or whatever the case may be. If you paid it in full, that's what they're covering you up to. Now, if you made that one payment on that Visa, and let's just say that one payment was $500, only $4,500 of that trip is going to be covered under Amex.
All right. That's real good to know. I like that. Okay, so let's see. Get to some of these questions. I have two questions, but they basically can be tied into one, or at least I'm going to try to tie them into one. Somebody says, I purchased insurance with my agent. My trip had to be canceled and I couldn't get a refund, only a credit. Why? And the reason why I said this next question might do it too is, what type of coverage do I need to ensure I get a refund and not a credit?
So that sounds like more so you went, that agent went through the supplier. So let's just say your trip was, booked through Apple Vacations. And, Apple Vacations, they offer a future travel credit plan. And then they offer, and it can be canceled for any reason, but they have two options: cash back or future travel credit. The future travel credit is much cheaper than the cash back plan. And you got to understand why. Nobody wants to give cash back. They rather for you to postpone and reschedule than to give you the entire money back, because they're losing out on money. You have to think like them, so to speak, right? Nobody wants to give money back. Although you are the consumer, they don't want to give the money back. So your agent probably offered you the supplier travel protection plan and offered the cheapest option, which was the future travel credit. Now, not to say third party insurance won't that won't be the end all be all, but that's very rare. That's very rare that a third party is going to give future travel credit, because their obligation is to you as the consumer, not the not the supplier that the trip was booked through.
Okay, I like that. And if you didn't notice, I had dropped in the comment section earlier. You can look down there. I dropped some links for Travel Guard and Travel X, and those are two third-party insurance companies. If you want to take a look at that, there are other ones that Iesha has mentioned throughout her conversation, but those are just two. If you take a look in the comment section, and those in the Facebook group, I went ahead and dropped a separate post in there, so you can always look at those links and stuff. And since I'm doing that, since we were talking about the best coverage, Iesha, I mentioned it to you earlier that on your last talk, what one of my clients went ahead and did. Tell people about the annual plan, because when you said that last time, I was like, wait, yeah, I got to jump on this now.
Absolutely. So with the annual plan, I basically looked at it like this. If you are traveling, if you know you got 3 to 4 trips on the books for one year, so in 2022, you got 3 to 4 trips on the books, get an annual plan, because you don't want to, it's going to cost you the same purchasing it individually each trip. So just go with the annual plan. Most cases, your family is automatically included with children up to the age of 17, I believe. So just go ahead and buy the annual. It's gonna help you rather than hurt you. That way you don't have to keep remembering, oh my God, I got to purchase a travel insurance policy. All you got to keep doing is, if you add one more trip to the 3 or 4 that you already are booked, just call them and like, hey, I got another trip that I done booked, and this is the information. I'm leaving these dates, going to this country, and this was the cost of it. That's all they need. That's all they need, because you already purchased the policy on an annual basis, so they already have your age. They have the age of your family if they're coming on that trip. So just call them up and let them know, hey, I got another trip. Now, if you're doing like 10 trips a year, it's going to be more than that $500 that you would pay off the basis of 3 to 5 trips in a year. So that's my personal recommendation, and professional recommendation rather. If you are traveling 3 to 4 times out the year, get an annual policy.
Yeah, that's what my client said. She was I don't know if she's in the group now, but if you are, go ahead and say hi. What you had said last time that convinced her is when you said like she can get her whole family. She was like, what? And she was like, I could cover my house, and it's road trips as well, right?
Yeah, so my thing is, a lot of people may suggest other things, 100 miles, 200 miles. I say 400 miles. If you're traveling more than 400 miles, and I would say 100 miles if you are traveling domestic. Okay. Internationally, for sure, you definitely need it. Without a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, you need it if you're traveling internationally. So, I will agree in a sense if you are traveling more than 100 miles. I mean, but 100 miles can mean a lot of things. I'm here in Colorado Springs. It's 70 miles between Colorado Springs and Denver. I'm not purchasing, even if I go to Breckenridge, because Breckenridge is more than 100 miles from where I'm at. I'm not going to purchase a policy. So that's why I say 400 miles. If you're traveling, if you're leaving state lines, period, if you're leaving from your state to another person's state, get it, because you don't know what can happen in that other state. Now, yes, your health insurance will cover any medical situation domestically. So in that case, where I said the emergency medical piece need to be primary, it can be secondary if you are traveling domestic. If you are traveling internationally, make sure that emergency medical is primary. Now, annual policies, they're a little bit different. I have not found or seen one yet that offers primary emergency medical. When I do, I will share the news. But as of right now, the common ones that are out there don't offer primary emergency medical for annual policies, or in some cases, groups. So just keep that in mind, because Miss Tabitha, she just does groups. That's her forte. That's her niche. That is where she is doing her magic. So, just know that, where if you are offering a group rate for travel insurance, just read the caveat in the policies to make sure if that piece is primary or not.
Can you get a primary?
Yes, it's going to cost though. It's going to cost, and they're going to want a bunch of different information in a sense of, how far you're traveling and where you're going, and things of that nature.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Gotta read more. All the nuggets. She's got all the nuggets. Um, guys, again, if you have questions, drop them in the comment section and I'll make sure to read them. Here's a question. What is the difference between travel insurance and trip protection? I'll be honest, I didn't even really know there was a difference until I heard somebody talking about it. So break it down for us, Miss Iesha.
So trip protection, it's kind of similar to the third party versus supplier. So trip protection is only going to cover a limited amount of things. So, and it's only going to give you a limited amount of coverage, in a sense. Like they may cover flight delay, they may cover trip interruption, trip cancellation, excuse me, but they won't cover like delay of baggage. They won't cover um, lost baggage. Like it depends. So it's very limited. The coverage is very limited with trip protection, and it's just limited to what I just mentioned: trip cancellation and trip interruption, and maybe flight delay. Whereas the third party travel insurance is covering everything. It's covering the trip interruption, the trip cancellation, the flight delay, the delay of baggage, your lost baggage. So, because there's a difference: delay of baggage and lost baggage. So, funny story, went to Puerto Vallarta with my daughter for a mommy daughter trip, and we missed our nonstop flight by 5 minutes. They closed the gate on us and they wouldn't let us on. I don't know. The lady was just, I don't know what she was on that day, but wouldn't let us on. And so we had to wait. So the next flight included a layover in Dallas. We get to Puerto Vallarta about 9:30 that night. No luggage. The luggage was, I didn't get my luggage until about the day before we were about to leave. It was crazy. I was only there for like 4 days, 3 nights, but still.
Cool.
Can you imagine? I was stuck in my room for like 2 days and I felt dirty because I'm taking a shower and I had some items, in my carry-on. I did have some items in my carry-on, but that only got me but so far, And so I was walking around with a bathing suit and my cover up for like 2 days and just washing that out because I had no luggage. And I felt weird, but at the same token, I did get my bag. And what the end all result was, the bag was still in Dallas.
Wow.
It didn't dawn on to them, and I'm not even gonna name the airline, but it didn't dawn on to them that it clearly showed that Dallas was the layover spot. So yeah, we got off in Puerto Vallarta, and I'm looking, everybody luggage coming through, and I'm like, well, where's mine? And they're like, that's it. All the bags are off the plane. So delay of baggage versus lost luggage is different. Lost luggage is gone. It's never coming back. It ain't popping up. But still put in a claim. Still put in a claim. And me being an insurance professional, I should kick myself. Mind you, though, this was pre-COVID. But I should still kick myself because I did not purchase travel insurance because it was a free trip. What value am I telling the travel insurance company is for the trip?
Yeah, COVID changed a lot. A lot of thinking.
Right? So I could have got the flight covered, but I was just like, I'll be all right. I never expected for them to delay my luggage. I never expected it, but you live and learn. So now I never leave home without it. I never leave home without travel insurance.
That's a good thing. So Iesha, you've been mentioning, let's see, so since you've been talking, and if you guys are just tuning in, you've missed a lot of good stuff, but don't worry, you can still catch it. It'll be in the groups and on the page and on YouTube. If you missed it, we're with Iesha Brewton, the Insurance Concierge. She's came back, guys. She's back. She's back. She came back to do a redo for us. But Iesha, during this presentation, I've heard you mention, let's see, you've mentioned lost luggage, delay of luggage, medical primary, secondary. You've mentioned so many different types of coverage. So that's the last question I see, unless somebody pops in and drops another one, and feel free to put it in the comment section, guys, if you want me to ask her something. What are the different types of coverage available, or at least the ones you want us to consider?
So you want the policy to include flight cancellation, flight delay, delay of baggage, lost baggage. You definitely want it to include trip cancellation, trip interruption, and the trip cancellation, it shows like a value, and you want it to be at least for, if not half, more or equal to the value of your trip. So like with trip cancellation, they'll try to, give you, if your trip is 5,000, they're going to want to give you back 25, it's covered up to 2,500. Find it to be covered for the full value. Okay. Because you don't want to limit yourself, and you want to make sure you have enough coverage in the event one of those things occur. Now there's a difference. Trip cancellation is different from trip interruption. Everybody gets that confused. They feel that a trip interruption is considered to be a trip cancellation. It's not. So just to explain, and I got to look at my notes because I don't want to give y'all the wrong information and explain it wrong. So Trip cancellation, let's just say you have a medical or non-medical event that occurs before you leave your home and you have to cancel your trip. That is trip cancellation. Now, trip interruption is if you have a medical or non-medical event that occurs while in the acts of your trip. So let's just say you're at the airport and let's just say you're having a minor heart attack. I mean, I don't mean to be extreme, but things can happen. You're having a minor heart attack at the airport because maybe your anxiety is running high, or this your first time flying and you're just nervous, and now you can't go on your trip because everybody at the airport is now trying to give you medical attention. And with that, you miss your flight to leave. That is trip interruption, and it comes into effect after you leave your home and during your trip, and you are forced to return home. Whereas trip cancellation, it occurs before you leave your home. You're never leaving your home because you canceled the trip. I hope I explained that without confusing anybody.
No, you did good. You did good. It's not that it wasn't understandable. It's just like, it's so much. It's just so much to take into consideration that we don't. And now, everybody's taking it into consideration because of the pandemic. But y'all, I told y'all she knows her stuff. I told y'all she was just coming with all the info, all the tea, all the nuggets, everything. Just dropping. I told you she was going to do it. So this has been some good info. If let's see, I don't see any more comments in there, and time has gone by. I didn't even realize. When you're having a good time, it just happens.
I'm telling you, time flies when you're having fun. But I just want to add on to Tabitha. I talked about different type of things occurring. One of the things that I highly recommend, especially those who are going through pre-existing conditions, like they may have heart disease or they may have cancer, anything that they have, any ailments that they have, diabetes is another one. If you have any ailments that are in place before you book your trip, I highly encourage you to purchase your travel insurance that same day you make your deposit. And I say that because every policy that you purchase will have a pre-existing, well, most policies, especially if you're looking at the terms and conditions and you're looking at what you're buying, comes with a pre-existing coverage condition where if you have to cancel because maybe your diabetes is forcing you to not go on that trip, then that pre-existing coverage condition will come in. But again, that condition waiver is only covered within the first 7 to 10 business days, of you purchasing the policy. If you wait, that goes away. So if you have any pre-existing conditions, you just out of luck if you wait to the last minute to purchase. So I highly recommend, if you do have a pre-existing condition, the day you make your deposit for your trip should be the same day you pay for your travel insurance policy. And if you need to wait because maybe, your funds, you put all your funds into the deposit, don't wait no more than 5 days. I'm not even going to tell you the 7 to 10 days that maybe the policy has in place that you must buy it. 5 days, no more than that. But my firm recommendation, the day of deposit, purchase your policy so pre-existing conditions can be covered.
That's a good one. That's a good one, because I do try to tell my clients, when you get one of our group trips, I try to send out the message like, go ahead, purchase the policy. And I'm sending it out like as soon as they book. It's even on the page, like when you book to get insurance and stuff. And I know some people like, get it later, and this right here is a good reason why you need to get it early. It's not, she's not saying that you can't get it at a later time. It just may not be the effective coverage that you need if you purchase it at a later time. So that's the key thing. Iesha, before we close out, I want to put it on you. What do you want to close out with? What do you want us to know?
I just want everyone to know that, it's better to have the coverage and not need it versus needing it and not having it. You never want to get into the predicament of, something happening and you don't have the travel insurance, and it I just call it being ignorant. To sum it all up, it's just being ignorant, because a lot of people look at, oh, but the cost, you done paid $5,000 for a trip. So paying an extra $200 or $150 or $138, again, travel insurance is based off your age, your destination that you're going to, and the cost of the trip. So 9 out of 10, you're not paying a lot of money for it. And if you can spend $5,000 on a trip that has a $500 deposit, you can cough up an additional $150 to $200 for your travel insurance, because it's important to have. And we, as Tabitha is a travel professional, she can scream it to you till you blue in the face. But again, she can lead you to the water. She can't make you drink it. So it's all about being responsible and doing what's best for you and your family, whether you're even if you're traveling with your family, because you never know what can happen. We see it all the time on the news. Child dies on ride to on in Walt Disney World or at Universal Studios or whatever. You don't want that to ever be you. Never ever. Like, no parent ever does. So, or someone going to an international country and they go to get medical help, but they don't do the right thing, in a sense of, they're telling you, oh, you got, gallstone blast, all of this going on, but then it's really something else, and they did the wrong. Like, you want to make sure you have travel insurance in place, because you never ever know what can happen. We didn't think there was going to be a pandemic. This sucker bigger than the Spanish flu of the 1920s, okay? And it's still happening, and I feel like this is going to be the way of the world now. We have to acclimate to the environment that we're in. So I if you were stubborn about it before, pre-COVID, don't be stubborn about it now. That's the biggest takeaway I think I have, is don't let your pride allow you cash to write a check that your butt can't cash. Period. Period. Because who has money? Who can literally go to an international country, get hurt, don't have travel insurance, and they're like, okay, $20,000. Do you have $20,000? I think the only person who will really have $20,000 is a luxury client that got a black Amex card that can be like, oh yeah, I got it. Swipe this card. We don't live that life. We are not about that life. The average person is not about that life. And even if you are a luxury client, I still highly encourage it. They're going to purchase their travel insurance for sure. So I advise everyone to do the same. Don't leave home without it. Do not leave home without it.
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that we didn't have the technical difficulties as last time. Every